When was the worst time you farted? My wife and I sleep with an oscillating floor fan in the bedroom on my side of the bed. We were in bed and I farted ass out of the covers toward the fan, not thinking about it, and it was immediately swept up to our faces, forcing my wife out of the room in a gagging panic. It smelled like actual dog shit. Mandatory long tutorials. They can be very helpful, but I appreciate it when games give me a chance to skip them or get more of a Cliff Notes version if I feel familiar enough and just want to play. The frustration builds if it is a game that I want to replay, but the introduction forces me into a long welcome sequence. Misuse of the unwinnable battle, aka the hopeless boss fight. If you've played an RPG, you know what this is. It's the fight you're supposed to lose because it's an essential part of the story. The problem is that some games will have an unwinnable encounter early on, then place you in a similar position later on. You can see the battle is stacked against you and it makes sense in the story that you would lose, so you give up. And you get a game over and have to do the last 20 minutes of the game again. Similarly, when a game puts the unwinnable fight too late in the game, then doesn't make it clear that the battle is hopeless, you fight it for 10 or 15 minutes using up your curative items and spells, you lose anyway, and then you find out you were supposed to lose anyway. Well, thanks for making me burn all my elixirs for nothing, game. The obsession some companies have with trying to eliminate load screens by making you play annoying tutorial levels that are usually slow, restrictive and obnoxious, doubly, during the actual game. That usually means a giving impression of open world, when it isn't, for example, having unlimited options of exploration but tubes. You chose path number 2 first, and that's a point of no return. No. You can't go back. Have fun. Yes, Naughty Dog, that means you. Second, passing a checkpoint only to die, or reload the checkpoint only to have the game send you back 2 or 3 checkpoints, because those other checkpoints weren't checkpointy enough, I guess. Edit. On second thought, this one is worse. This makes me rage quit. Annoying interactive scenes I'll at least play through once, but won't sit through it twice. Last of Us Part 2, but this arrived at a checkpoint. Just kidding, do it again. Bullshit stabs my nervous system in the pisser. Unskippable cutscenes. Why do I have to watch them again and again every time I die? Seriously, how come some developers don't bother to add a button to skip them? Is it so hard? Did they forget, or did they choose this on purpose? Like, do they think that I can't beat the boss because I didn't understand the story? Do they think that I'm fucking retarded? I'm already hyped up from the previous fight, just let me start over immediately. Instead, the devs are like, no. Here, watch this 5-minute long cutscene again. This will help you. You know what? It doesn't help me. It just makes me mad. The original KH on PS2 is especially guilty of this. How expensive they are becoming without a lot of content. That Battlefront game was like $60 and didn't even have a campaign mode. Sims has a ridiculous amount of add-ons that are overpriced and don't include hardly anything with them. Also, I miss playing with just a couple of friends on multiplayer. I wanna play Skyrim with like 2 other people, not tussle with a bunch of random people that I actually really don't want to interact with. Way too much hand-holding. I'm talking tutorials that might as well have a credit scroll at the end, an intermission for a snack break, and ad breaks for how long they are. Take a step. Hold up, you need to be told how to take more. See a speck of dirt, that's a 10-minute explanation. Tutorials are necessary sometimes, I get it, but nobody needs their hand held for the first half of the game FFS. Showing your character do something amazing in a cutscene and then not giving you the ability to do that. Similarly, fight massively powerful boss who later becomes an ally and is weak off when they're on your team. Escort missions. not letting me know how I died, just dead. Don't know where it is came from. SNK bosses, invisible walls that are just used to block you from going to a different area. At least put up some construction or a rock slide or something. Can't compare inventory I'm buying to inventory I'm equipped with. Pay-to-win mechanics, especially in multiplayer. Enemies that can hurt you while off-screen, but you can't hurt them. Praying to RNGesus before any rogue or roguelite games. Puzzles that have nothing to do with the game world and have no hints anywhere. Unskippable cutscenes, especially after you've seen it once, especially right before a boss fight. Injecting RPG elements into everything, requiring several menus just to figure out what you need to do to get crafting materials for an item. As someone who kind of sucks at video games but still enjoys playing them, I hate when a game makes itself twice as hard by introducing a totally new element halfway through. I will never get over the Uncharted Nazi zombies. I get that this works for people who don't have garbage hand-eye coordination though. Collectibles, if they actually reward you with something like a new cosmetic weapon or lore, I don't mind, but if they're just there for the sake of filler content, they just become tedious and annoying. Looking at you Batman Arkham Knight's Riddler trophies like, I'm sorry but I don't want to go across the entire map finding 347 fucking ID pamphlets or paper scraps just because the game tells me to. I used to love this, but it became a trend once graphics got better. Single-player games have basically become movies that you play. Some games balance this better than others, like Metal Gear, while others are just 30-minute cutscenes with 10 minutes of gameplay. QuickTime events for sure, did not like them in the PS2 days, and surely do not like them now either. Also dumbing down perfectly fine and fun mechanics in order to favor luck for casual players. I understand that the intention is to make the game more accessible to a wider audience, but more often I found it to have the opposite effect in the long run. Out of place, overly sexualized female characters. If a female character is sexual within a context that makes sense, I have no problems with it. But why does every girl have to be half naked and moaning in every game? Even in Breath of the Wild, which is a family-friendly game, the fairies sound like they belong in porn. I get that sex sells, but as a female gamer, this is one of my biggest pet peeves in video games. How some online communities for some games are so friendly and nice when it comes to multiplayer games, and yet whenever I'm actually playing the game I never seem to encounter any of that positivity. I've always been anxious about interacting with others in the live chat, but experiencing some of the toxic behavior firsthand puts me right off anything of the sort and leaves me questioning if all those lovely people I see on the forums and subreddits are just putting on a front, you know? Mandatory long tutorials. They can be very helpful, but I appreciate it when games give me a chance to skip them or get more of a Cliff Notes version if I feel familiar enough and just want to play. The frustration builds if it is a game that I want to replay but the introduction forces me into a long welcome sequence. I think touch contact damage from enemies is something that needs to die. It worked well in the old NES games, but now it's getting stupid and illogical. Like, I shouldn't get hurt by simply bumping into the side of an enemy that's not actually attacking me, and when it's in really good modern games. Cough Hollow Knight cough. It just frustrates the hell out of me. Forced lost battles. The only example of this that I enjoy is the epilogue section of Halo Reach, because you know that you aren't getting out of this alive, so you just see how long you can survive and how many enemies you can take down with you, then the next time you can try and beat that record. Also, quests that require you to play the PvP portion of the game. Weapon quests in Destiny 2 are a particular hedgehog in my prostate for this, mainly because I am fully aware that I suck at Crucible. and so I suffer through and never touch that activity again until a new weapon quest requires it. Weapon. Tool degradation. I fucking hate it so goddamn much. Play some survival game. Make a steel axe. Chop down a few trees and it's broken. Fuck off. It's like no game dev has ever chopped wood. I chopped all the wood for our heat through winter as a kid. Shitloads of wood. Same axe. Never had to repair it once. Maybe sharpen it, but no real repairs. Hell, my father still uses that same fucking axe to this day, 16 years after me leaving home. But, okay, let's say you have to sharpen it counts as repairs. Fucking crowbars. Oh man, I hit those 3 zombies with my crowbar, it's basically broken. Do you know how many heads you'd have to bash to break the crowbar? Fucking goddamn weapon degradation, man. So stupid. Holding off microtransactions until after the game has released and reviews are out. On the other side, having DLC for a game that was clearly made for the main story and would have made the game that much better if it was included from the beginning. Every single FF15 DLC basically should have been in the main story and something you experienced through your first playthrough. That would have been an amazing game if it wasn't for that. Your character is juiced up, steroid-driven freak of muscular nature, able to accomplish feats of physical strength and agility unknown to most mere mortals. Upon encountering a waist-high obstacle or easily broken door/lock, I guess I'll have to find a way around, find the key, break the code. An open world that's big with nothing of substance to fill it. They decided on the size before they decided what to do with it, and the result is endless nothing that just means half the game is spent walking, or a shit ton of filler quests and repetitive dungeons. Skyrim, I'm looking at you. Multiplayer focus in games that either have, or could have, excellent single-player content. Reign of Kings is a good example. Fucking amazing building, gathering, and crafting system, but for some reason it was all about XXX Sweatfart 69 XXX being able to break your shit and teabag your corpse. The quality of mobile games these days, there's no effort put into the games anymore and they are all the same. The ads are so obviously misleading it would be laughable if it wasn't sad. And most of those apps are apparently marketed for 4-year-olds. Seriously, try naming the top 3 best new mobile game apps in the last 4 years. It further perpetuates the stereotype that mobile games and anyone that plays mobile games are to be shunned by everyone and that their voices don't matter. Remember when you used to invest hours into mobile games back then and have fun conversations with your friends? This is a hot take, but sprint buttons, pushing a button to move faster is annoying. Just make us move fast in the first place. Edit, also button mashing /QTEs, and also fighting game controls by extension. My hands cramp easy and it makes playing some games a pain in the ass. Wasting my time. It's not even long tutorials that hurt me. I don't mind them if they're functional. It's the ones with no tutorials at all, so I need to spend the first hour or so experimenting and fucking things up before I can actually figure out how to play the game effectively. Likewise, games with opaque mechanics, something like it'll give me the option to build a building that gives +2 to economy, without really explaining what that does. How many of those do I need to build to keep my economy functioning? No idea. When a bush blocks your path, it's just damn lazy. Or when a door is locked in a house you need to get out of, it's like bitch, I'm gonna break that damn window or door down with this axe I found 5 minutes ago, not go deeper into the house to find a fucking key. How EA and 2K treat their games: unnecessary DLC, loot boxes, microtransactions. 2K20 NBA is a casino. EA makes the same NFL and FIFA games with minor differences and slaps a different title each year. WWE 2K is going in the same direction. Don't get me started with WoW Remastered with Activision and Cyberpunk 2077 from CD Projekt Red. Same with over $1,000 of DLC in those 6. Invisible walls. It's not the worst thing, but if it looks like there is more to explore, then I wanna explore it. At least putting a fence or rock slide or something physical to indicate the map's scent is way better aesthetically and less frustrating. Invisible walls. Sometimes I wish there were more realistic barriers in games, so they don't break immersion. GTA 4 and 5 do a pretty good job at this. They make infinite oceans. Sea of Thieves makes your ship sink in bloody waters. The Mad Max video game creates a sandstorm that you can't get past. As a console gamer, this one really sucks. Always when you want to play something you have to go through a lot of money to do so. 1. Buy the console. 2. Buy the games. 3. Most games require internet or online, which most people already have, but it's still money for PS Plus / whatever Xbox has to play online. Remembering back to Zelda 4 and 64, Ocarina, the 2 times you have to fish to collect a heart piece to build up your life bar are absolutely infuriating. The instructions on how to go about this were maddeningly vague and seemed not to work at all. The fish was either undersized or always gets away. It made me think terrible thoughts about Japan and wonder why on earth they consider such a severe disruption to game pacing to be a positive thing. Was playing some classic Max Payne a couple of months ago. First time. Now, I get it, the game is old, but holy shit, was it frustrating. I got stuck in a certain point of the game. A part where I had to chase this one man up these rooftops. I had to cross through small pieces of pipes, while praying that my character won't change his direction for no reason and fall to his death. Then I had to take out some shotgun-wielding enemies trying to stop me. Then pray that the game's shitty movement won't stop me from jumping over 2 other rooftops. Mind you, I was on low health that stuck with my current save. In addition to the fact that I'd have to restart from the start of the level if I died. Coupled up with the 40-second unskippable cutscene when I did, wasn't a bad game, for sure. The thing was just a pain to go through. Do people actually like when open-world RPGs make every single tiny item pick-upable, especially when you have to point your cursor over each individual one? I hate that shit. You've got too many items. Cyberpunk, 95% of them will never, ever be touched beyond selling. Also, why the fuck do I have to sell each item one at a time and wait for the menu to reload? FFS. Just let me select all the items to sell and sell them at once. In always online games, artificial grinding of content to get some in-game currency to get something, then they lock out rewards for endgame stuff onto some weekly cadence. I get it, you want me to spend endless amounts of time for jack shit, and the stuff I want only allow me to get once a week. Game devs should look at the hours someone plays their game first. If you've already got them as a loyal fan, don't make me essentially run mindless errands. This all started when DLCs changed to seasons and battle passes. Forced N+ to unlock difficulties, better epic / legendary / mighty / bestest weapons and items in the game. I don't want to replay a game. Might be unpopular gaming attitude, but I never replay a game as life's too short. Need to experience other games unless it's a significant remaster of a 10-year-old game that I like. Sway while aiming weapons. It's bad enough when some genuinely good sniper rifles in the Borderlands games that aren't useful because they're Hyperion guns become more stable the more shots are fired, or if you normally main sniper rifles in Mass Effect. Luckily, BioWare are removing sway from the Legendary Edition, but for the love of Christ, do not add camera sway to first person in a fucking platform game. I spent 2 hours trying to complete a minigame because the camera sway made it impossible to hit the targets at the bottom of the screen.